Okay, so on this problem, we're wanting to simplify the expression. We got a bunch of fractions. We can't just come in here and cancel x squared and x and stuff because they're added, subtracted, right? So I want to keep showing that because if you had added numbers, that's really 6 over 2. I'm just proving. If you canceled those, you'd be 4. It's just wrong, isn't it? You can't cancel added items. If they were times, if that was 4 times 2 on the top, I mean, instead of 4 plus, then that would really be 8 over 2 now, which is really 4. Now it's okay to cancel. You can see it's true. So the point is we cannot cancel added, subtracted items. It's just wrong. It can get you to the wrong answer. You can see the case with those numbers. So we have to make them multiplied. So when we have added, subtracting in a fraction, then we have to do what? We have to make them multiplied, right? Because it's only right and true to cancel multiplied items. And what makes them multiplied? Factor. That's what factoring is. I don't know if you know what that word means, but it means make them multiplied. It's exactly what it is. So we got to make them multiplied. Okay. So that's easier said than done though. How do we make them multiplied? Well, the first thing you always look for, and if you miss this, it'll wreck the rest of the problem. So you can't miss this. Is do they have anything in common? And you've got to get everything they have in common, not just part. You got to get everything they share. So as you look at this, you might say, well, they all have an X, don't they? They do, but that's not the whole story. If you just do the X, you'll miss part of the story and nothing else will work. What else do they have in common? There's a number, huh? They all, notice 3 goes into all those numbers, doesn't it? So I have to take out not just X, but 3X and do the 1 parenthesis. Does that make sense? On the top. So you've got to take out what they have in common and you've got to get everything they have in common, right? So meaning they all have an X and 3 goes into all those numbers. So you got to take out 3X and do the 1 big parenthesis. Well, how do you know what goes inside? Whatever works. 3X times what? X squared. We'll go back to 3X cubed. Remember the invisible 1 power here adds. And 3X times what? Minus X. Like 1 power goes back to minus 3X squared. And 3X times what? Minus 2 will go back to minus 6X, won't it? Now on the bottom, do they all have something in common? No, they don't. They don't all have an X, right? This back one doesn't have an X. There's no number that goes into 4 and 13 and 10. There's no number that goes into all of them like there was on the top. So, okay, so what? So then you just bring it over. I mean, we're not done yet, but there's no 1 parenthesis step. So now we're going to take, now we have X squared X, no X on the top and X squared X, no X on the bottom. Both of these, this top and this bottom, are going to go into 2 parentheses now. Let me bring it down here. These are a lot of work. Bring it down here. And so now that 3X that's in the front on the top right here, he's still going to be there. We'll just put him right there. And then what comes after is going to be 2 parentheses. And same thing on the bottom, we're going to have 2 parentheses. We just have to figure out what exactly they are. Okay, so how do we do this now? Well, on the top, remember, it's get rid of this stuff here. It's multiply, add, multiply. Remember, multiply, add, multiply. So what times what? Well, X times X multiplies to be X squared. And then jump over here to this multiply. What multiplies to be 2? Well, 1 times 2. There's no other choices, right? Now, then you check it. Remember, let me bring it up here. I'm going to check the X and the 1, the X and the 2. And so boom, boom, that's going to be what? X squared. 2. So I'll put the plus and minuses in later. Multiply this, 1X and 2. Now, what signs do they need? Well, if they're going to multiply to be negative 2, maybe it's easier just to put them in the beginning. I'll just go plus and minus. That way it multiplies to be negative 2, right? And that'll be, yeah, I probably should have minus, plus, and that'll be minus 2. Is that right then? That'll be minus 1X in the middle, minus 2. Yeah, that's right. That's actually right. Now, let me purposely do it backwards. I want to show you what you would do if it came out backwards. What if I just put plus and minus like that? Then I would have gotten, what's this? Minus 2X plus 1X minus, wait, that's the same thing. I'm getting confused, sorry. What if I had done minus and plus? There we go. That would be then wrong. Let me show you that. Then you would have gotten in the middle, plus 2 minus 1 would have been plus 1X, and that's not right. It's supposed to be minus X in the middle. If you get everything right, but the middle term is the wrong sign, that means just switch the sign. You go back, oh, okay, well, this is really plus and this is really minus. So it's X plus 1 on the top and minus 2. because that'll switch all the signs. And so that'll make it minus here, plus here, and that'll come out minus 1x, which is right. Okay, so we factored the top. How about the bottom? Well, on the bottom, we're going to need to go front times front. It's again, it's multiply, add, multiply. Right? Multiply, add, multiply. So what multiplies to be 4x squared? Well, 2x and 2x. Turns out that's not going to work. But I know that just because I've done this 10 million times and I can see it happening in my head. So if you can't, I'm assuming you're not there yet, you just got to do it and do it and do it and do it. Pretty soon you'll be able to see it as well. So let me do the check. So let's suppose we're thinking, okay, it's 2x, 2x. It turns out in reality, we should do 4x times 1x. Now, normally it is 2x, 2x, but this is an extra tricky one. And the only way you're going to know is just check it. So anyway, so 2x times 2x, and then what multiplies to be the back? Well, 5 and 2, right? To be 10, or it could be 10 and 1. What signs? Well, if you're going to multiply to be positive, but you're going to add to be negative, they got to both be negative. That makes sense? How can you multiply two numbers and get positive answer and add to be negative? Both negative. So let's check it. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. It's not going to work. 4x squared minus 4x, boom, boom, minus 10x plus 10. See how the middle here becomes minus 14x? And that's wrong, right? Because, it's like weight loss. You lose 4 pounds, lose 10 pounds, lost 14 pounds. No, it's supposed to be minus 13. It didn't work. All right, well, then what should we do? Well, you could try switching the 2 and the 5, but that's actually going to make no difference because there's a 2x in the front of both. So it won't change anything. Well, then what is it? It's back with the 2x, 2x. We should have done the other option, it turns out. To make 4x squared, you need 4x and 1x. That is what's going to work. So let's go back and try that now. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to go back over here. So I guess it's not 2x times 2x. I guess maybe it's 4x times 1x. In fact, it is. That multiplies to be 4x squared also, doesn't it? And what multiplies to be 10 at the back? Well, we could do 5 times 2 again. Maybe it's 2 here and 5 there. It turns out it's not. It's not. But I'll just check it to prove it. 4x and 2. It's the other order, actually. What signs? Again, both minus, right? Because they got to multiply. Do you see why they're both minus? Because you got to multiply to be positive. That could be 2 negatives or 2 positives. And the middle's negative, so it's got to be 2 negatives. So let's check it. Boom, boom. 4x squared minus what? 20x. Boom, boom. Minus 2x plus 10. That middle now is minus 22x. That's not right. It's supposed to be minus 13. So no. So now switch the order. Put the 5 here and 5 here and the 2 there. Check it again. Now and both minus, right? Because again, we have to multiply to be positive. That could be 2 positives or 2 negatives. Add to be negative. They can be 2 negatives. Let's check it. This will finally work. 4x squared minus 8x, boom, boom, minus 5x plus 10. The middle, there it is, minus 13x, right? If you lose 8 pounds and lose 5 pounds, lost 13 pounds, it's finally right. It's good. So we say, yes, that's right. Now these can cancel, can't they? And so the final answer then, all we have left then, once they cancel, what do we have? We have 3x times x plus 1. Sorry, I'm kind of running out of room here. Let me just get rid of this. Get all those checks everywhere. We have 3x times x plus 1 on the top, and we have 4x minus 5. And we don't need the parentheses on the bottom anymore because there's nothing to separate it from. We do need the parentheses still on the top because there is still a separation. And there we go. Well, why can't we cancel these x's right here? Because this guy's subtracted, right? You cannot cancel added subtracted items. We're done. There's nothing more you can cancel. There we go.